Oh, hi. I didn't see you there. My name is Bliss Foster. Welcome back to the Margiela series, where we're exploring every single runway show that Martin Margiela produced at his eponymous house. That is 2 episodes in a row where I couldn't say Margiela correctly. I sound like Siri saying it.
From Martin Margiela, I'm proud of you, son.
Fall/Winter 2006. I feel it is only fair to warn you up front that today, with the Maison, we are going shopping for a discounted couch. Models were doing the thing that we've become very familiar with at this point, where each look is segmented. They did this by standing on a massive mirrored podium Lazy Susan thing that was segmented into 8 sections. And this is a reference to how car companies used to do these like tacky unveilings of new models. Turning now on the gigantic Lazy Susan is the car of the future, ladies and gentlemen, the new Gremlin by American Motors. In an attempt to capture people's attention, Martin was creatively looking for ways to be distinct and make people focus on the work, each idea individually. Idea after idea here in that realm has been tried for many seasons in a row now. I do wonder if that has something to do with Margiela's departure, but I mean, we're not there yet. Just hang tight. You do realize that after this episode is done, we have 6 more episodes and that's it. Okay, so these rotating mirrored platforms serve a few purposes. The one that we just discussed, forcing the audience to take in each look individually, but it also allows you to see the backs and the sides of each look as well, which is a really great way of using dimensions to highlight the looks. And also it kind of solves this problem that a lot of runway shows have, where it's like, the purpose of a runway show is so that they can walk and you can capture the movement of the clothes. And this series of looks in this collection are not incredible on movement. And so it's like, you might as well just have them standing still. But with standing still, you don't get to see the backs and the sides, but it solves that problem. This is actually a pretty solid solution to a new runway show format type thing, stuff. In the hands of look 1, a couch cushion is the accessory of choice, but it went further than that because actual seat coverings were used to make the jackets, and by placing the cushion covers onto dress forms and molding them to fit a person. Clothing was fastened together using upholstery nails, and those nails were even used to decorate the model's arms and neck. The Maison obviously took off the sharp pointy parts of the tacks in order to do this. The couch seat pieces included a trench coat, but my absolute favorite piece is this velvet jacket that was made out of an electric recliner. And that jacket was given a waist through the use of a belt that was made of the remote control cable. Genius in a tacky way. Very genius. Did you know that remote controls used to have cables? Throughout my whole childhood, I never saw one of these things in good condition. They always looked like stretched out. They lost all their elasticity. They were disgusting looking. Other belts on other jackets included these bungee cords, which, if we're being honest, bungee cords are underrated belts. Curtain tassels were used as belts. Large tags, like the ones that you see at furniture stores, those were attached onto the clothing itself. There were frame necklaces. There was clothing hangers on clothing, which is an old idea that's been tried a few different times with the Maison. We had seat belt belts. Do not make a Matthew Williams joke. Do not make a Matthew Williams joke. Do not make. And we also had leather pants made of motorcycle seats. This chair was shown right before rotating to this pink satin top and dress, covered with the same type of upholstery nails. I mean, for this show, you don't have to have hardly any context for what Margiela has done in the past. It's very, very clear what the idea here is. It's almost like kind of the Jeremy Scott style of like wink and smile, like ironic, eye-rolly kind of stuff that is meant to be playful and fun and stuff. It's just, this is, for the Maison, this is very, very on the nose. So clearly this is just the explosion of found objects. This is taking his ideas to such an extreme, romanticizing used furniture stores and used car lots, which is frankly really hard to do well. Because if you think back to childhood, the ultimate nightmare is that you are going to have to take up your whole Saturday going with your parents to be like, we're going to find a reasonably priced couch. And then you have to spend your Saturday moping around a tacky fluorescent swamp of a warehouse hoping that there is enough time to play Nintendo before your bedtime gets enforced later. But yeah, places like that are the ones that have these big old tacky stickers. Like any place where these stickers are taking place, it's not a fun place for anyone of any age to be. And then the Maison combines this with colorful rhinestone fringe that was inspired by the cabaret dancers' tops and very vintage, very sexy. It's a really weird combo. And on this channel, weird is good. A bold proposal, cable knit socks, and pumps. I realize that we're culturally completely past this now, but this was being put out at a time when socks with pumps or sandals in any way was not okay. Interesting anecdote, the shoes here were actually implied via this footage to be made out of cowhide rugs. Moving on, other shoes were made dirty as an embellishment. The Maison did that with resin, applying it to shoes to look like mud and to a pair of pants like a silhouette of dust outlining the edges of a removed belt. This plays with the memory of motif, which appears to be back this season. Folks, it has been a few seasons since we have seen the tabbies, and they are not back this season either, which is really strange, right? Because the tabbies were the one thing that was making them money really early on. And I believe they had been a bestseller for a lot of the early part of the Maison's work. But yeah, the first season, they couldn't even sell any of the clothes that they showed. It was just filling orders on tabby shoes. But yeah, they're not here either. Moving on. Some t-shirts were screen printed with the information on the furniture tags worn by other models, which is an incredible idea for product. Look 14 uses the armrest covers as the vest, but that's integrated into the top itself. As always, describing this is really difficult, but I mean, look at that. Like, what the fuck? That looks so good. He's incorporating the natural curves and angles that upholstered furniture would make and then working those into the shoulders themselves. I imagine that for the tailors at the Maison, that was a little bit of a nightmare to finish. Because in the end, it's gotta look like they just yanked it off of a couch and then threw it onto a model. But we all know that there is a lot of tailoring that goes into making this stuff look so effortless. Great execution here. There's a catsuit draped over a coat rack, which is a product that's worn under a lot of the looks that come after it. The catsuits are actually interesting because instead of going over the head like they're intended, the zipper is pulled down and you can see the model's faces. And let's talk about that for a second. So Margiela and the history they have with face coverings is just beautiful. It's one of the most distinctive parts of the house. It's a really simple thing, but they've been able to do it in lots of different ways that are really great looking. But in this look, it's really interesting because he has such an obvious opportunity to style these looks where the face is just covered up like normal. But he chooses to style it down. Granted, here it does look like a kind of interesting scarf necktie sort of situation, but yeah, it's worth noting here that we're not taking advantage of every single opportunity to cover the model's faces. Oh, wait, I spoke too soon. The catsuit gloves were tabby gloves, ladies and gentlemen, they're back! Oh, fuck! The memory of belt is introduced when the clothing hanger clothes are introduced with the jacket hung up on it. Okay, so it's worth noting here that the sentence that I just said in any other context would make it sound like I was having a stroke. Let's listen to that again and actually follow what's going on here. The memory of belt is introduced when the clothing hanger clothes are also introduced with the jacket hung up on it. You like go to Thanksgiving and like everyone's let your uncle drink too much and like he's been talking for too long to nobody and he's just like because the memory of belt because the government, when the hanger gets introduced, you can see that George Soros, when it's hung up, you can. Do y'all want a tour of my dad's toy collection? That's what we're gonna do. Come with me. Okay, going downstairs. Behold, the toy cabinet. As you can see, there is basically no consistency here. Edward Scissorhands is very limber. As you gaze on all these toys, you may be wondering, why have I not joined the Patreon? Bliss is such a cool guy. He works so hard. I want more content. I'm going to join it. You may be thinking to yourself those exact things right now. Well, you can join the Patreon. I give you permission to do that. Back at it. So this season showed the clothes not only on models, but also on the objects themselves. This fits in very cleanly into their ongoing project of using found objects. Like if you line up all of the uses of found objects in the Maison's history, this is probably one of the standout examples of that. Even like this look here had a bunch of glowing LED tourist pins that said Paris and had disco balls on it. Just like the inside of a car. Lol. Join the Patreon or I'm coming for you.